Hey, how's it going? My name is Ashley Rose, but you can call me Ash. I'm here with Distortion Media. And of course, all the information, it's below in the description. I'm here with a man, an entertainer, former NFL player, a man that's talented in a lot of things, also wrestling, AJ Francis. AJ, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm good. I'm as good as I can be.
And I love your ankh too that you got on your
Oh,
chain.
thank
That's
you.
great.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I have a bunch of different ones. So, you know, a lot of people know you like from the NFL. I know and heard you were interested in doing some commentary. Now, is that just for like Impact Wrestling? Well, TNA now, excuse me, TNA Wrestling at the Impact Zone, or is it just any sports that you would be interested in the future?
So I actually people don't know this inside the world of wrestling because people in wrestling only most people in wrestling only follow wrestling. Um but I when I was in the NFL and when I was in college, I was already doing color commentary for sports, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer. I mean, the list goes on and on. I worked with NBC Sports. I worked with ABC Sports. I worked with Fox Sports. I worked with some of the biggest sports networks in the world, which is also why I got the A&E Most Wanted Treasures job because when they put my name up and they saw my credentials, they were like, "Oh, this is exactly what we need to host this show," right? So, yes, my first time ever doing commentary was actually on Explosion. Wrestling commentary was on Explosion, and I did it 2 days in a row, and I loved it. I came out of it like people were telling me how good I did, but the real thing, they like Tommy Dreamer couldn't believe I'd never done it before. He was just like, bro, you're just a natural at it. You got it. Like you and I was like, yo, please let me do it more often. Like I would love to do more commentary. And if it has to do with my feud or not, I would love to do it. But it's completely different because you're trying to get a story across. Like I'm trying to get my story across, but I take personal pride in the fact and not I don't want to talk over the match. I hate when I watch a wrestling match and the commentary team is making it about them and not about what's happening in the ring.
Mhm.
Um, so like, yes, if someone asks me a question, I'll answer the question in character. But even if something big happens while I'm talking, I will acknowledge it. I will talk about what's happening in the ring because I personally hate. There's a couple things that I hate in that people do in wrestling, and that's one of them when the commentary team talks over um talks over what's actually happening in the ring and distracting you from a great match.
Mhm. Well, I mean, you're a natural when it comes to mic skills, so it's no surprise
Mhm.
to me that something like commentaries, it's just, it's like riding a bike for you.
Yeah,
You have like probably some of the best mic skills in this business.
I appreciate you. Thank you. I think that too, but when I say that, I come off like the asshole. So I'm glad that you
Uh,
are willing to.
I mean, if this is what I tell people, that they're like, oh, like for instance, like social media, don't like your own post or whatever. Well, if you don't like yourself, who do you expect to like you if you do not
That's
like
what I,
yourself?
that's how I was raised too. But I guess certain people got certain standards because there's some wrestlers that talk about nothing but themselves all the time. Talking to you, Matt Cardona, and people love it. You know what I'm saying? Like they have no problem with it. They go out of their way to say that this is great, but little old me for some reason it's a problem. So,
Well,
you know,
I mean, you've only got you yourself and as I say, me, myself, and I. You don't love
uh huh,
yourself, you don't like yourself. How you expect anyone else
yeah,
to feel that way? Like,
exactly,
and if no one does, like you got yourself at the end of the day.
bingo.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. Now, so how's Cheez-Its, man? How's that going?
Oh, hold on, I'll show you. It's going great. The good people at Cheez-Its paid me a lot of money to host this game, and I will forever be grateful for them. Uh, it's funny because like people try to use that as a dig. People are like, "Oh, you're the Cheez-It champion." I'm like, "Do you know how much money I got paid to do that? Like, do you not
That's-
realize? Do you not realize you would have sold your soul to be able to do that?" So it's like for you to pretend that somehow that's a dig. Like you don't make sense, brother. Like you would love to be on the sideline at the Citrus Bowl holding the Cheez-It championship. You just can't do it, Joe Hendry. You just can't do it. They don't want you there, buddy. That's why I'm there. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm there.
so what's the deal with Joe Hendry, like, and you? What's going on with that? I'm not sure how this started. What did he feel intimidated with you coming in? Do you believe in
I
Joe Hendry at all?
I don't believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Santa Claus before I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in the Tooth Fairy before I believe in Joe Hendry. I'll believe in taxation before I believe in Joe Hendry. All right, like this man Joe Hendry, he's a hater. He was mad because obviously I've had music videos that I've done go viral for years. And he was a little bit intimidated when I came in. I was debuting a music video. Um, my dog is snoring, if you can hear that. I was debuting a music video. I was having a good moment that I paid for with my hard earned money, and he comes out and interrupts me. Now, why am I the bad guy? Like, for example, if I'm standing in a mall, right? And I'm talking to my very good friend about something, and someone we don't know steps in between us and is incredibly rude to both of us. How am I wrong for beating him up? Like, how am I the bad guy? He wasn't involved. He didn't need to come out there. He didn't need to interrupt my music video. He robbed the people of seeing the masterpiece that is the music video. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how am I the bad guy? Never understood it. Never understood it. But hey, Joe Hendry's a hater and he will get what's coming to him.
All right. So, I mean, no one really knew that you were coming to TNA, so I'm surprised that he felt the need to interrupt you. You know, I don't understand it. It is what it is. But let's move on. Is there anyone you're interested in tagging with, maybe in the future? Anyone you see that you're aligning yourself with at TNA?
Yeah, if Rich Swan would take 5 seconds out of his day to listen to what I have to say, that I think we could make a lot of money together. I'm telling him everything that's the truth. I'm telling him all the good parts of what can come from working with me. More exposure, more opportunity, more success, more money. Like these are things that he can get by working with me, but he don't want to listen. So I guess I got to work with somebody else. I've made a lot of I won't say friends because none of them appreciate what I have to offer. But I've talked to a lot of people in TNA about potentially working with them. And eventually somebody will be smart enough to listen.
Now, back to Swan. I heard that you met him previously, before
Mm-hmm.
TNA, before you became a wrestler.
Mm-hmm. True story. I was a huge wrestling fan. I knew who Swanee was, obviously. He didn't know me at all, even though I was in my fifth of 6 years in the NFL. He didn't know me at all. Uh, and we were both flying somewhere to make some money. Me for football, him for wrestling. And we both got put in the back of the plane, literally last row. I'm in the window seat, scrunched in. He's in the middle seat. Um, True story. I almost pissed on myself because he wouldn't wake up. Like he was literally so tired he would not wake up, and I had to like literally forcibly move him to get him to wake up so I could go to the bathroom. Um, but we met on the back of the plane, and that was a long time ago. And we talked about the wrestling business, and I told him I was going to get into it once I was done playing football. And he was like, "Oh wow, yeah, man, cool." Like I don't know if he actually believed me, but we hit it off that day, got his number, and we became friends. The problem is he still flies in the back of the plane, and I don't. I fly in the front of the plane. And like I said on TNA, the good thing about Front of the plane, first class is there's always another seat right next to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get Swanee in that seat. But right now he's content losing and being in the back of the plane. I can't, you can bring a horse to the bank, but you can't make him withdraw. You know what I'm saying? So, I can only do but so much.
Well, it's some people, they're content with, what's current in life, how,
Yeah.
and that's just how it is. That's a natural thing and occurrence. Uh, for, let's go back, as far as wrestling, who is it that you looked up to, growing up? Because you said you were a wrestling fan before the
Yeah.
NFL, before your music career, anything like
Yeah.
everything, so who did you look up to, growing up? Who first got you into wrestling? I know that's a general question everyone usually asks, but people are curious.
Yeah, so when I first started, my dad was a wrestling fan when he was a kid. He liked, you know, superstar Billy Graham, and he liked some of the legends from back in the 70s and 80s. So when I was born in 1990, he wasn't watching wrestling anymore, but he knew that I would like it because he liked it. So I wasn't even a year old when I started watching wrestling. And they got only reason I know that is because the videos they have of me being a crazy wrestling fan, and I'm like a year old. Um, so um like when I first started watching wrestling, like every kid in the 90s, early 90s, Hulk Hogan was my guy. And then after I started watching more, I loved Bret Hart. And I loved Bret Hart, and then my friend introduced me to WCW, and I loved Rey Mysterio. Um, and so after that, when I was really starting to understand how wrestling actually works and that it's a show, that was during the rise of Stone Cold and The Rock. So like The Rock is my all-time favorite. Always has been, always will be. He's the reason I'm still a wrestler to this day. Um, and like once I got older, college age, and I really understood the business of wrestling and also like what it takes to be a good performer, is when I first started going to non WWE shows, and I would see guys like Kevin Steen or AJ Styles or Samoa Joe or these guys that were so good that I was like a massive fan of theirs. So like um there's a lot of influences. Like if you look at my ring gear, I'm literally just the flashy hood version of Kevin Owens. Like that's what I if you just look at it and you look at it now, you're like, oh, like Kevin Owens is the reason why I know that I don't have to wear little draws out there. And I don't understand why people wear little draws out there in front of all them children, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah. Hey, there's people that wear singlets. There's people that just, they
The
wear
little draws is crazy to me. It's crazy, but hey, it's part of the lore of
preference,
wrestling, I guess.
preference. People
Yeah,
people like wearing trunks, man.
yeah,
Uh,
whatever. More power to you, brother. More power to you.
well, oh man, that's going back to your influences. How's your transition? Going in TNA. From indies and from other another major promotion. How's the locker room treating you? How are things? I hear Tommy Dreamer was a was a big advocate of yours, or in the
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Tommy is the reason I'm in TNA, and I love the locker room in TNA. I did come from a situation where the locker room was great, but I never felt appreciated or properly utilized. And I've already talked more on TNA television than I have on any other show. So, and that's after only 4 dates, So like, I'm getting an opportunity to do the things that I've been put on this earth to do. When you think about my ability on the microphone, as you highlighted earlier, as I always highlight, um, I can change the aura of the room. I can control the crowd on the microphone. There's a lot of people that are intimidated by the microphone, and I am not one of those people. But in TNA, I get the opportunity to show that I can do it. It's not just me telling you I can do it. I show you that I can do it. I show you that I can carry a scene in a backstage segment. I've shown that over and over again. In TNA, they don't even ask what you're gonna say. They just want the scene to be good. Like they just so like when you see the scene, and like for example, when we did the scene with Rich Swann and Rhino, and Rhino told me to f off, and I say, see, that's why Rhinos is going extinct. That wasn't like a planned line. That wasn't like something that was just me in the moment playing off of what was happening in the scene. Like I have a natural ability to create um funny moments as well as serious, scary moments because I'm an actor. I'm a thespian. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been in commercials and TV shows, for years, and independent films for years before I ever started wrestling. Wrestling is just a play. Like people don't understand that, but wrestling is like the fighting Cirque du Soleil. It's like the fighting Wicked. It's like the fighting Guys and Dolls. I did plays in high school. Your role, like my role in TNA, is the big bad scary guy that everybody doesn't like. Like that's my role, and that's my part of the play. And the play is traveling around just like plays do, going city to city. Some things work in some cities, some things work better in others. You know what I'm saying? Like it all depends. You got to work with the audience you have. And that's why I think that what I do is so good, and what I bring to the table is so good, is because I don't go out there with a predetermined thing that I'm good. Like I have a couple things that I'm going to say or a couple things that I'm going to do in the match, but I listen to the crowd. Like I listen to what they're saying, how they're reacting, what they're doing, because wrestling is the only entertainment medium where the crowd is literally part of the show. Like if you let them be a part of the show, they'll be a part of the show. Now, sometimes they'll try to take over the show, and you got to be good enough to know how to get them to stop that. I've had to do that before, and I'll do it again, I'm sure, in the future. But like playing off the crowd is what makes the match so much better. It's what makes the promo segment so much better. If I just go out there with this rehearsed thing that I'm going to say and I'm not listening to them react, then I'm not getting the most out of it. So I tell people all the time, like wrestlers and non-wrestlers ask me like, yo, how do you, because they see the promos I do and they see the reactions I get, and they're like, how do you always get these people to bite in on everything you're doing? And I tell them it's like fishing. You throw a little out there, and you ain't catching nothing, you reel it in. You reel it in a little bit. Or maybe you caught a little fish, but you don't want no little fish. Throw it back out there. You throw it out there, and these are just the lines that I'm saying, the buildups, that everything. So eventually you catch that big fish, and now everybody's chanting AJ sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how you build it. It's storytelling. It's making people care. It's an art form. And yes, wrestling is what they're there for. And there are people in this world, a lot of people in this world, that are better bell to bell wrestlers than I am, and they always will be. There's nothing that'll stop. I could train for the next 20 years. I will never be better bell to bell than a Chris Sabin. I will never be better bell to bell than a Rich Swann. Like I just won't be. I'll never be that. But at that same end, on the microphone, that I don't feel that there's anyone better than me. You know what I'm saying? And I can prove it every chance that I get one. And that's what I can bring to the table. And then I'll go in the ring and I'll play the big scary bad man, and I'll do some athletic feats that nobody else can do, like walking around with 3 humans on my body, which no one else I've ever seen has done successfully, right? Actually, I saw a woman do it, actually. I did see a woman do it, but I've never seen another man do it successfully, right? So I can do things that nobody else can do there too. But like, I'm not naive enough to sit here and think, you know what? I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna outwork Mustafa Ali. That's not gonna happen. Like that'll never happen. I'm not trying to do that. Do I think that I could go out there and have a incredible match with anybody? Absolutely, but it won't be because of the speed and pace that we work and a million counters and other. It'll be because I'm listening to the crowd and I'm feeding off the crowd and I'm building the baby face up so that we can get a comeback. Let's go home. Like those are the things that I can bring to the table. And I haven't been able to do it on TNA yet. I never got a chance to do it at that other three-letter company in the sky, but I've done it on the independents at some of the biggest independent promotions in the world, and those videos are online. And if I'm lying, I'm flying. You can go check it for yourself. So, like, I know what I bring to the table, and I'm excited to do it in TNA.
You know, I haven't heard anyone compare, pro wrestling to, a play or, something live and theatrical like that,
Uh-huh.
but that's legitimately what it is.
It's literally a play. Like
It's a
I and
play.
I and
It
I
is.
and I have
It
this
is.
argument with people all the time. It's like it's a play. There's an opening act, there's a closing act, there's a bunch of things in between. A lot of the things tie together. The
Mhm.
main difference is when you're at home, there's commentary, but when you're live, there's not. So like it's different for the live audience than it is for the people
Right.
at home.
Absolutely.
But but that's like I compare that to like watching a TV show with subtitles and watching it without. Like, yeah, you might hear the things, or like you ever watch a show with subtitles and like, when music comes on and it tells you what the music lyrics are saying, and
Mhm.
the music lyrics literally tie in exactly to what's happening on the screen. But like, if you didn't hear what the lyrics were or see what the song's name was, you would have never put that together in your mind. Like, that's like the commentary of the commentary team. So,
No,
like,
like not to interrupt you, but back in the day in pro wrestling, I know I do look younger than I am, but trust me, I'm pretty old. Back in the day, the theme songs would actually describe
mhm,
the wrestler just in
yeah,
word by word. I think even in W.
exactly. And that's why I will never come out to a song that wasn't made by me. Can't nobody tell me how to be me but me. You know what I'm saying? So like I make all my entrance musics, and that's why like you never hear, you hear some people's music like how uh Randy Orton used to come out to CM Punk's old music, right?
Mhm.
Like that didn't fit him. That's why he changed it up to I Hear Voices. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't ever want to have to go through that. I know what I'm like. I know how I am. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am, and so I know how to bring that out of myself. And that's why like even like people's music now, like a lot of people's music now is like generic. Like you don't like when like AJ Styles came out in TNA and still now to this day, but in TNA too, as soon as his music dropped, this is AJ Styles. Like you can you have that feeling. You get that feeling. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like that feeling has been lost because of copyright laws and everybody just wants to be cookie cutter, right? And nobody wants to get sued, which I don't want to get sued either, but that's also why I make my own songs.
There you go. You know, I think,
Also, not by the way, I don't want to interrupt you. This
uh,
is just has nothing to do with what we're talking about,
okay.
nothing at all. But one of my very best friends, his name is Ashford Rose, and we call him Ash. So I think that's hilarious. But continue.
Yeah, no, it's just, my, God given, that is my name. So I just go by Ash for short or A Rose, just
Yeah,
depending who you talk to. Uh,
yeah.
Now, as far as with wrestling, I think everything's important. I think everything's important in the show. A friend of mine that was an indie worker in Canada for years always stressed and told me that the importance of wrestling is that everything is important in the show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, it is. And especially like a perfect example is I like going first. Like if I'm not the main event, I want to go first because whoever goes out there first sets the tone for the entire show. It's a big responsibility. Not enough people appreciate that responsibility. But if you go out there first and you stink the joint up, the crowd's already not into it, and now somebody else has to pick up the slack, right? But if you go out there first and you have a great match and you get the people going and the people are all into it, now everybody else just has to keep that momentum going. keep that momentum going. You know what I'm saying? So like, as opposed to like if you're in the middle of the show, you don't know what's coming before. You don't know you really if you were really putting your match together, you don't know what happened before you really, and like you're not really sure what's going to happen after you. So like you want to go out there and try to steal the show, but now you're doing that at a detriment to the entire show. As opposed to if you go out there first and kill it, you can have an amazing first match. Nobody will ever be like, "Oh man, you did too much." Like they might, but that person's lame. Like you'll go out there if you kill the first match, everybody will be like, "Great job, let's go," because it's a team effort. Like it's a team building experience. Like the whole point is to have this roller coaster that peaks at the end. But if you start the match on a you start the show on a now everybody else got to work harder to get it up here. So like everything does matter in wrestling. That's every promo, every entrance, every match, every move. Everything matters. If you go out there throwing terrible punches, you make us all look bad. You know, that's that's why I take protecting my character very seriously because like I'm very big. If I'm out there and I'm throwing bad punches, I look trash, and so does everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like I that's why I don't do the three, four, five, six, seven punches. I do one punch
Mm-hmm.
and let it sit because I got to show why I'm so much bigger than everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And if I do a million punches and then somebody else does the same thing, it's like you're losing that believability. You're losing like yes, they're suspending disbelief to come in there, but like you still want them to believe,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Well, I do have to let you go, so we gotta, wrap up here. Of course, we have some upcoming dates, for TNA. Please go to tnawrestling.com, go to the
Yeah,
events tab, and make sure you, of course, watch on Ultimate Insiders, DAZN, at TNA Plus. It's a great app. It's such a huge upgrade
yeah.
from Impact Plus.
I love TNA Plus. I love to go on there and I decipher. I'm a big believer in watching. Like some people, like AJ Styles, for example, he don't watch his matches back. These are conversations I had with him, but he also has had so many amazing matches that like he don't care about X match on X show. You know what I'm saying? Like he's had so many crazy matches, he don't even think about it. But like me, like I go back and the TNA Plus app is great because I go back and I decipher everything that I do from the way that I held the mic in the promo to my response to a question that Gia or Tom set up for me in commentary. Like I rewatch it and I critique myself, and it's really great for that.
Absolutely. And of course, become an Ultimate Insider on YouTube. Once again, I am Ashley Rose. You can call me Ash. AJ, thank you for joining me today. I had a great time, man. Thank you, amigo.
Thank you. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely.